Here's a little ramble I thought I'd do on crypto. I haven't made a video in a long time. So, I've been busy with work. I actually travel, well, not a lot, but at certain times a year I have to do a fair amount of flying. So, I've been busy. I've been doing a lot of things. Had renovations, lots of family stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about these crypto markets. And I was actually looking at charts, and I went and looked at an old idea that I made. And I made this back in August, September. Oh, August 18th. And it was just, I couldn't imagine the market going up because we had a bubble, but we kept on having that bounce off 6K. And eventually I thought this was going to be a bear flag. And we had like a, I thought this was going to be a bear flag here. And we kind of had this little bull trap or fake out, and then we went down and we went and surpassed the target. I don't know if that's luck or not, but I think in this case the trend is your friend, and we went lower. So I don't take notes of what I make in these videos, but I'm pretty sure I've been saying that we are going to see lower prices. And now what I kind of see, that's messy, what I kind of see again is another bear flag. And you can measure this however you want, but it does look like we're going down. And I know sometimes I talk about the indicators that I like to use. Mostly I tend to use volume profile for the most part, and patterns, because you can look at the probabilities. I like to use the RSI as well, because you've got a lot of historic data, and I think it just makes, I think when I say historical data, I mean Bitcoin hasn't been around for that long, so I think it kind of makes it a little easier to read. So I also use the Ichimoku cloud, which is just a good trend indicator. For now it's almost useless, because you can see we went sideways a little bit here and it was not very useful, at least when you have singled. Doubled is very popular as well, and that was actually more useful. As you can see, when the cloud went bearish, we continued to be bearish, and we've got, you could argue that we could bounce here, but I personally don't see us bouncing higher than 4.5, max about 5k, and that lines up with this volume well here and the Kijun, which is, well, the Kijun is usually a 50% measurement of the highs and lows, kind of like a moving average, but a little bit more jagged. Yeah, I mean, if you're just going to go based on the indicators, it's kind of obvious that we're still in a bear trend. But, I mean, you just have to look at the price action for that. So, the lower we go, the further out, I think in history you can look. I mean, this is what's really interesting to me about cryptos right now. You can measure how much they're down. We're down 80%. I think the most we were down was about 83%. Now, in a bear market, in Bitcoin, historically, the most that we've been down is, I believe, 86% before a bottom. But looking at the size of the move that we had in crypto specifically, leads me to believe that we're going to hit the 90% drawdown level. This is just a guess on my part. I'm not going to pick a bottom. I am not that clever. What I'll do is I will think to myself, hey, this crypto thing is going to be around for a while, and I should probably think about buying the lower it goes. Now, a lot of guys that I follow, they have targets that are already been hit, and from what I understand, I'm talking about an acquaintance of mine Don Harold and Ernie Varitimos, they're talking about like 4.5 as a target to start accumulating. We kind of blew past that, and I know that Ernie now thinks, due to the violence of the move, his target's more like 2k. And I mean, the bear flag paints that picture. It paints it all the way down into, well, 1.5k. And as you can see, we're just blasting. You can actually see this as a great example. We really blasted through this low volume node, or low volume well here, and now we're kind of hanging out here where there was more accumulation in the past, which you can see over here. Now the next target for me is 2.5k. Personally, from this point forward, I will be nibbling, and as soon as we get below 3k, I will be buying a little bit. And obviously, a real bear market needs a little bit longer than this, but I can't remember the exact length of the previous bear market. I did have it written down in some notes somewhere, but I think we're approximately, I think I was looking at the weeks. I think we're like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks away from where the bottom was on the previous bear market. So historically, there's a lot of things that point towards the lows being in, but I don't think they're in yet. I don't think we've seen capitulation, and we haven't seen a reversal. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. But like I said, you've got some high volume nodes here painting a target of 2.5k, 2.7. We might just bounce off. I do think we'll bounce off 3k. I do think we'll see a bounce, and we'll probably range a little bit more. But ultimately, I mean, we could retest the all-time high. There's literally no reason why we couldn't. There's no reason at all. I mean, yeah, there's lots of stories. I'm just putting this in logarithmic mode so I can show you what I mean about that capitulation. And do you know what? I do believe I was talking to Don at this time in 2014. And let's narrow from some other notes. And let's have a look. I'm either thinking of this area here or this one, because this is when I think Gregory Maxwell quit Bitcoin development. That was back in 15, and to me, this is when the bull market really began. But also, it's not much of a capitulation. That was more of a reversal. I mean, you could also say this was a reversal, but I mean, if you look at this, significant. I mean, we just got hammered, utterly hammered in the space of less than a week. It was just bananas. I'm sure, I'm sure I was like concerned at the time, but I don't remember it. So maybe at that point I had become desensitized to the blood. But you can see here we had just wave after wave of death from the highs, and it's actually not that different. I mean, you know what? Let's just measure it. Because I'm very interested. So let's call that the bottom. Even though I don't consider it the start of the bull market, but let's call it the bottom. So that's 408 days, 411 days. It says here. So that's about a year. I think we're about 9 months into this bear market. I don't remember. So let's see. 411 versus 352. So we've got a significant amount left. We've got, what is that, 59 days? 57 days? Yeah, 57 days. 57 days until we potentially see another capitulation. And I'm kind of tempted to believe that will happen. I believe that Bitcoin is largely controlled by whales, which does make sense when you think about it. I mean, it's not been around that long. There are a lot of old holders. I mean, really, a lot of the guys who were around originally, they've cashed out. They've made a lot of money. A lot of money, which good for them. I mean, that's it. That is what it is. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. So, we had a huge sell-off, which I would consider capitulation, and then we had some solid candles upwards. We're not seeing that yet. The price action we're seeing is more like here. Or, well, it's a close, or here even. Sort of higher lows and higher highs, and then kind of petering out. Oh, I do like these Bollinger Bands as well. I think that's that's just a fantastic indicator of moves. But yeah, like I said, nice capitulation here, and reconfirmed upwards, and we had like a little blow off, and then I wonder what that retracement is. It's like a 50% retracement. Let's take a look. Oh, we wicked. I didn't see that wick. Actually, now I think I do remember this now. I think this is when I was talking to Don, and we were crashing, and I was waiting for, I think $90 was my target. Really dumb. Really dumb. It might have even been around here. But it was in the winter. Yeah, we talked in the winter. Anyway. Yeah, so that's well, 62% retracement, let's call it. That's where you want to measure it from, really. But anyway, that was a nice retracement. You could have bought in there, and well, we just saw a huge range, and a lot of people call this a wick-off accumulation. I'm sure it could be. I don't know anything about wick-off. Yeah. And then we saw the final, I guess you'd call it reversal, which is actually a lot cleaner than that kind of horrendous sell-off. Let's turn automatic off so we can move around. So that was all good. And I remember where I was around here. I always kept half an eye on the price, and then was it 2015 that I was on? It must have been. I think throughout 2015 we saw this kind of run up. I think it was 2016 I was in Japan, and I remember kind of frantically checking my phone. Yeah, it was around there. And yeah, kind of a rocky road. It was still kind of an underdeveloped market. But I'm waiting to see movements like this. Obviously we can look at the volume. Huge accumulation. More around here. This is when the really smart money was buying. And that's why people, one of the reasons why people go, hey, we're not gonna go below the all-time high. I don't know if it's that easy to predict, if I'm honest. I really don't. There's so many people saying that, it makes me wonder if we do get more pain. Do we get more pain? It's certainly possible. But it just does not seem, it really doesn't seem unlikely that we could go lower. So if I can paint us some candles. That really seems so unlikely to happen. Something that goes down and I mean, that looks like the kind of perfect idea of a bubble. I mean, it's obviously not, it's never going to go exactly like this. But I mean, there are also arguments against being bearish. I mean, I can't be entirely bearish. Shorts are very high on Bitfinex, as you can see here with the red line. They're actually, well, that's actually a reason to be bearish, now that I think about it. Because every time you see these highs, you get a, sorry, wrong way around. Every time you get these at highs, you get like a short squeeze. As you can see here, you can see it to a lesser extent here. I mean, here it's totally irrelevant. It did not happen. Shorts were made out like bandits. But you can see when the shorts are lower, we actually get corrections. Can't see that so well here. Let me so around bubble time. And the same for longs. Obviously, it's sort of the inverse. Longs are very high, get corrections. When they're slightly lower, it doesn't really. There you go. That's a better example. On the weekly, it's kind of harder to look at. On the daily, it's a little bit more demonstrable. But the RSI kind of is interesting to me right now. So you can look at it on the weekly and the monthly. Let's start with the monthly, shall we? Now, this is why I'm giving pause to thought. Let's put it on log to demonstrate it's a bit better. Last time RSI was at this level was literally as the bull market was beginning. Now, you've got to take into consideration, RSI kind of flatlined. So, if this is a bottom, we probably should see kind of this rectangular consolidation, at least on the monthly. So don't take into account the noise. We're not going to just like from here go straight up, unless we're going to go to 100k and we're going to get some crazy bubble. And who knows? I don't know. I'm no oracle. I don't know what will happen. But the RSI is something very interesting to look out for. On the weekly, it's super oversold. So you can look at all the previous examples of that. Bounce, and back in the old days of 2011, when I was only just learning about all this Bitcoin malarkey, we had a nice run up. But it's also worth taking into account we haven't gone below approximately 20. Get a level on that. That line did not go through. Well, anyway, whatever. We didn't go below. What's the saying on my RSI? I think it's 20. 30. Okay. So we're above 25. We're at 30, like 31. Let's call it. But we haven't been below about 26, 27 since 2011, since the late 2011. So that's something to take into account. But again, bear markets can go deeper and lower than you think. So that's excuse me. Oh boy, jet lag. Yeah, we can go lower, but it's also worth taking into consideration. But I mean, there's a famous chart where it shows the RSI being oversold for many months and years, and markets just getting tanked. So it's something to keep into consideration. Yeah, I mean, I ask myself the question every time, where am I most likely to be after a bubble? And that's going lower. And we had an epic bubble. I should know this by heart, but I don't. Let's take, oh, you know what, let's be generous and take the very bottom back over there in 2015 or late 2014. We had it like, let's just round it down because these numbers are ridiculous. A $10,000 10,000% run up, which is, I mean, why I'm not a millionaire, I do not know. I'd kick myself over this. With a run like that, you just, yeah, hindsight. But also, it's interesting to look at the volume. But yeah, anyway, after a run up like that, we're gonna go down, man. We gotta go down. We've got to rinse out all of this poisonous rubbish that's been created, all these worthless ICOs and like bonkers tokens. Oh, excuse me, I'm very tired. Yeah. So looking at the chart again, if you're not expecting it to go much lower than you're expecting it to, and I'm expecting it to go to at least 3k, more likely 2.5, 2,000, and if we're gonna play out like other bubbles, we're gonna hit 1,300. And I've seen some pretty, well, I mean, I read a convincing article the other day, and the prognosis was that with such an epic bubble, we're gonna see an epic bear market. Now, that to me, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But you've got to take into account the price action. So unless the price action tells me that we're gonna go much lower, and I mean much lower than 1,300, I'm not really gonna pay much attention to it. But got to keep a close eye on it, and we've got a lot. I mean, cyclically, where were we? In January, we're in January, December. So, let's call it 59, 60 weeks. Still got a while to go. Let's call it, I don't know, 7 or 9 weeks. But that wasn't the worst part of the last bear market. Obviously the price action was painful, but then how long did we have of sideways movement? We had over half a year of nothing, and I think that was the hardest part. And then you've got the psychological aspect of it. It starts going up, and you're like, "Oh, is this really happening?" And you got more sideways, and it kind of edges up. I mean, you should know next time to watch out for this. I'm kind of half talking to myself and to anyone else that's interested. I'm kind of thinking out loud, but it was. I mean, let's measure from the all-time high to when we actually hit it again. I remember that very vividly. Let's call it. So that was a long. That was over 3 years waiting. Really, if you bought the top to cash out, it's a long time to be underwater, and it's a lot of people are going to be disinterested. We're not even a year in this bear market. Yeah, coming up to a year. Yeah, of course we hit December. So yeah, we are a year in, just about a year into this bear market. I'm telling you, we got a long way to go before we get another bubble. But yeah, I think that about sums up my thoughts. I just wanted to talk a little bit about it, and yeah, I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm not really doing much. I mean, I'm mostly in cash. Obviously, this is not financial advice. I'm just some random guy who was basically forced to learn how to read charts a little bit because he cluelessly got into cryptocurrency. But also, I want to say that if you did get wrecked in this bubble, don't kick yourself over it. I have friends, online and off, that made a lot of money, but I also know people that made or lost or didn't make significant amounts of money because you know they're just holding, and it's kind of crazy to me because I know these guys in Bitcoin that just, I don't know what price they're waiting for, because even though I know I'm no millionaire, but I certainly have increased the amount of Bitcoin that I can own, which I think if you're a crypto evangelist or if you're into Bitcoin or anything like this, the goal is to have more. Because assuming that there will be another run-up, another bull market, you're probably looking at a multiple of 20,000. So my ballpark would be somewhere around 40 to 50 max. I don't think we're going to see another crazy move like this, another 10,000% move, because that would put Bitcoin's market cap on the level of a global currency, and that's just, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And not that I don't, yeah, I gotta be careful how I choose my words. I think Bitcoin will be an integral asset going forward, but I don't see it replacing the fiat monetary system anytime soon. But anyway, let's do a fib quickly, because I mean, it's not the most accurate, but I like it. Let's go right down here where I think the bottom side, or we could be a little bit more measured about it, fit it more. I quite like that. So, I mean, I'd see it at 24, 30, yeah, so 30k, 37, let's increase this, let's see some more fib extensions. I think that'll do, let's not get too crazy. So like 40, you could get like the 2.68 fib is like 48,000. I mean, that's still a significant, okay, if we hit that from here, that's still a significant run up, right? We're not going to hit that from here, but just for the sake of argument. I guess that is a 10,000% magnitude, actually. Or is it? Am I reading that incorrectly? Of course I am. It's 1,000% increase. I mean, that's big bananas. That's not smart change. But we're not. Yeah. Obviously, bubble patterns. I guess you could say that we're repeating kind of a fractal from before. I don't know. What I really want to say is, what I want to close this video with. Obviously, my insane price targets for the future. I didn't record this video to make that kind of call, because I don't know. I want to requisite or preface that kind of nutso target with the fact that I've been in crypto quite a while, and I'm fairly disillusioned by it. So, I'm wondering, I think I must have mentioned this to Don as well, on an interview that we did. I am wondering, is this it? Was that it? Was that the run? I think Bitcoin's always going to be around, but will it reach the kind of giddy heights that we saw before? I mean, I believe in market cycles, so I'm assuming that it will hit the prices that it hit before. It always has in the past. So even if we only hit the original all-time high, that's still close to 400% increase. Hey, I'd take that over a kick in the teeth any day. So yeah, you've got to be careful, and I think that you never want to risk more than you're willing to lose. Don't listen to me. I'm just throwing out my thoughts. This has gone on way long enough. If you're still here, thanks for listening. Hit me up in the comments or whatever, like, dislike, all that jazz. Cheers.